back. It's going to be one heck of a season, I think. To be honest, I don't think we've done the best job maintaining our performance through this regulation change, so we're going to be playing a bit of catch-up this year. We're counting on you, but you've got the whole team behind you.
Hey, what's up guys, Aarava here, and yes, welcome back to my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 65 today for the start of season 4 of this career mode. And as you can see clearly in front of your eyes, we are in a brand new team for this brand new season. We have moved to Mercedes, the former champions, but now the second worst team on the grid going into season 4. They're one of the worst teams all of last season, and I'm going to be partnering Lewis Hamilton to try and see if both of us can take Mercedes back to the top, but also just the challenge of driving against Hamilton as his teammate in the same bit of machinery. This is going to be hopefully a rather exciting season. There's going to be some real close fighting at the start of this season whilst we try and upgrade this car, and then later on I'm hoping myself and Lewis are battling each other for race podiums, nay, race wins hopefully. Much to my surprise going into this season, the only driver transfers are myself and Valtteri Bottas swapping seats effectively. Bottas going to Toro Rosso and myself to Mercedes there. I think, unfortunately, the patch that came in for this game, the 1.15 patch, which altered the driver transfers, I think has kind of dampened it a little bit too much in my opinion, because only having 2 transfers there, and one of them only being because of the team I've gone to, essentially obviously Bottas going the other way, was a bit annoying to kind of see going into the season, but it does mean there's some consistency, I guess, and some drivers you can maybe root for in other teams that were looking good last season, a la the kind of McLaren, Sergio Perez in there. You've got obviously Renault still with Verstappen and Lucas Weber, and the likes of Vettel, the big names in the teams like Williams, which are still kind of a midfield to kind of top team still in this career mode save we've got going on. But yes, going into this season, you can see by the R&D chart, Toro Rosso, the team I was at last season, is now the worst team on the grid, which I don't quite get because I spent a lot of their R&D at saving a lot of their chassis upgrades and a lot of their reliability upgrades as well, but of course that's not a performance part. But essentially, because the field spread from the top to the bottom is actually so fine, you can see that the graph, the R&D graph, the scaling only has 200th lots of performance there. We go from 1,000 down to 800 only, which is a really tiny one if you compare to at the very start of season 1 how big the graph is. So because the field spread's so small, Toro Rosso, even though I saved a lot of their chassis, the ones we didn't save for their chassis has meant they've gone all the way down to the bottom apparently on paper. We're at Mercedes here, we're in second last place, we've gone down a stretch as well. They've not made too many developments over the winter. We only have 1 upgrade coming in from the AI Mercedes team from season 3 to season 4, and you can see their chassis side of the tree is quite barren, so we're going to have to do plenty of upgrading. But the good thing is obviously we get inherited 5,000 R&D points to spend straight away on this team, so we're going to go for it. We're going to go for the big juicy upgrades that will take a long while to come in, but once they do, they'll try and catapult us back to where we want to be with this team. So I'm talking the last 2 air upgrades, the 2 ultimate ones, an ultimate engine upgrade, and you can see there 1 or 2 or 3 chassis upgrades on the weight reduction and also the weight redistribution, because I have a feeling like back in F1 2017, which was I think the last time I properly did a Mercedes, I was with Mercedes as a career mode team, I feel like the Mercedes car in general in the last few games in Co-Masters is a bit of a diva car, and so the chassis needs a lot of work. So I'm not actually maybe looking forward to driving this car too much at the very start here, because I think it will be one of those cars that's like on a knife edge of setup performance, and if you're not in that sweet spot, it's going to be very difficult to drive. Of course, a driver like Lewis Hamilton, my teammate, is great at dealing with those situations and just wringing the neck out of a car and dragging up the order, which is why I think it's going to be a really exciting season to hopefully once again go up against Hamilton. It's been a long while since I've gone up against Hamilton's AI as a driver in the same bit of machinery, so looking forward to that challenge. Hopefully you guys are as well, and if you are, be sure to smash that like button. Let's get into this then. Let's head towards qualifying and let's just see where we stand here. This might be quite a difficult qualifying session if the R&D chart's anything to go by.
We're just about ready to kick off today's qualifying here in Melbourne. It's the Australian Grand Prix. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though, it's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
Alright, so here we go then, driving our brand new Silver Arrow beast of a car, although it might not be too much of a beast in relative terms to the rest of the field at the moment, but we're hoping to turn it into one as the season goes on. But this first few races will just be trying to do the best job we can with the equipment we have, and so it's going to be a bit of a unknown really right now, just seeing where this car is really. Basically, it feels great because obviously it's a very high upgraded car, but obviously every car in this career mode save right now in Season 4 is such a highly upgraded car, so they're all going to feel great to drive compared to the base game. So it's a bit of a weird one in that kind of sense. Like, you can feel like you're having a mega lap, but it just won't actually be that quick. That was the case with that first flying lap there. I have to go for a second flyer on a new set of soft tyres to get through into Q2. In the end, though, found some speed, and we're actually faster, a lot faster than Hamilton there in Q1. Of course, though, it doesn't matter. All that matters is getting through into the second session. But because I burned 2 sets of my soft tyres in Q1, I went on a set of medium tyres to set a banker lap time, essentially, in the first part of Q2, just to give me a bit of a marker to kind of aim for and see what kind of time I'm gaining on the top right with the delta time there. It's not very quick, of course. It's down P15. So here we go now, our first actual lap in Q2, then trying to get through into the top 10 shootout. But this is my one and only lap. This is my only new set of soft tyres, and I have to obviously start this on this set of tyres if I get through into Q3. So I can't really afford to go on another set here. So already getting a decent amount of time in Sector 1, of course, compared to what we did on the mediums. You can feel instantly the grip difference on the soft tyres. Bit of traffic with Giovinazzi here in Sector 2 in the Haas car, so that was a little bit annoying. I was kind of afraid I was going to lose a bit too much time, but actually in hindsight, looking on the top right there, I actually didn't lose any time at all, if any really. So we moved now through into the last 2 corners there. At the moment, Lando Norris is the man in fastest in the session. Of course, not pole position quite yet. That's Q3, but let's see. Can we get through into Q2? It might be quite a tight one here as we go across the line. It's going to be P8, but by the time the session ends, other people set a few lap times, and unfortunately, I am knocked out in Q2 at the first time of asking in this Mercedes car. Hamilton gets through into Q3, P7 there. So already the first blow is dealt by Hamilton there. He's beat me in qualifying. It's time to try and turn this round in the race, hopefully, but I just don't know how it's going to go. I mean, you know, you saw there on the R&D chart, we're apparently the second worst team on the grid, but Hamilton's got through into the top 10 shootout. So, you know, that R&D graph now, because the scaling of it, like I said, is so small and the field spread's so tight, it just basically doesn't mean much, really, because it's all about what actually happens on track, what lap time you get clean air, dirty air, whatever, and it's just going to hopefully make everything very competitive this season, once again, like it kind of was in Season 3 for the midfield fight, basically, but we're now in that midfield fight. We're no longer right to the top with Toro Rosso, with Leclerc. We're here with Hamilton kind of fighting for the kind of, you know, final points, I guess you can say, for this first part of the season. But let's go through into the race then and try and make up for this P11 on race day.
They say that even a second is an eternity in Formula One, so going 4 winter months with no racing at all has seemed a very long time indeed. We're back though in Melbourne, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. I'm joined today in the commentary box, as I will be throughout this season, by a great racing driver, former F1 competitor, former world champion, and as he tells me all too often, an all-round top chap. It's the one and only Anthony Davidson. And tell me, here we are, first Grand Prix of the season, first time racing these cars. What are the big questions that need to be answered here, in your view?
Oh, thanks, Crofty. It's a real privilege to be here, and I can't wait to see what's in store for us this season. Now, to answer your question, one of the biggest things is reliability. Formula One cars are full of very sophisticated but also very sensitive technology, and this first Grand Prix of the season is going to push them to the limits. So the most important thing today is to stay out of trouble, get to the end of the race and keep everything in good condition.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Butler, Weber, Max Verstappen and Norris, Perez, Hülkenberg, Giovinazzi and Sebastian Vettel. The engineer, Kvyat, Lance Stroll and Leclerc. Bottas, Ricciardo, Kevin Magnussen and Kimi Raikkonen. Grosjean and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So here we are then on the grid for our first race of this brand new season, and you would have seen if you watched the grid sequence there just before that my teammate Hamilton is on pole position. Obviously you guys who have been watching F1 videos for at least a year or so will know why that is the case. Unfortunately this game has a legacy glitch that's now been in the last 3 games, unfortunately, which is if you get knocked out in Q2 or any session really and the next session gets simulated, then unfortunately the simulation does not take into account the R&D that's been applied over the seasons, and so essentially this Q3 session was simulated with the base Season 1 performance of the cars, and so therefore Hamilton is in a Mercedes, which is the best car in the game in Season 1, and so he was able to get pole position. So that's a little bit frustrating, and that's going to be a feature of this entire season. I need to match Hamilton if he gets into Q3, because otherwise every time he will pretty much embarrass me, glitch or no glitch, he will embarrass me basically in terms of getting probably pole or near pole if I don't get through the top 10 shootout. So that's another caveat to everything this season for us. But in terms of the strategy then, looking forward to this race, let's try and not get too negative here about that. I think we can still do a good job here from P11, and of course Hamilton will probably fall backwards, so we'll probably meet in the middle somewhere for hopefully quite an exciting fight, I think. But in terms of strategy, we're P11, so we get a free choice of tyres, so I'm going to take this opportunity to start on the medium compound tyre, the yellow wall tyre, and then go to the fastest compound, the soft tyre, towards the end of the Grand Prix, lighter fuel, really punchy car, try and get some late positions maybe at the end of the race. There's no rain forecast. It's going to be quite a gloomy, overcast Grand Prix, but I think this way, if we can be fast enough in the first stint and not lose too many positions, I think later on it's going to pay us dividends at the very end there with such a quick car on the fastest compound tyre. So that's the plan for us today. Let's just get into this then. Our very first race for Mercedes there. They may not be what they want to be right now on the F1 grid, but they're going to expect a lot from us this season. Let's get underway as we go to 5 red lights to the Australian Grand Prix, and we're underway. It's a good start for us initially against Sebastian Vettel, but then of course the difference in tyre compound weighs out there, and so we lose traction compared to the others into turn 1. We're now being attacked by the Racing Point car on the outside there to the front wing of Danica Fiat, though in the end that is on our inside there. Hamilton's already lost pole position. He's down to P3. We're side by side with Kvyat trying to dive bomb down the inside of maybe even Sebastian Vettel. Probably a little bit too optimistic there on the inside of the German, and so we lose another position to Kvyat there as we have to take to the kind of curbing and the little kind of AstroTurf there on the inside, and Kvyat then chops us off there on the what is usually almost flat out right-hander in qualifying, and so we're down to P12, and now we're also even being attacked by Lance Stroll, and now to add to that misery, our DRS now has failed. So when that gets activated in lap number 3, I'm not going to have it until the issue is fixed, unfortunately. So right now, not the best start to the Grand Prix and my Mercedes career here in Season 4. I think a lot of that though is down to the medium tyres. You've got to remember everyone else around me is on the soft compound tyre, so I'm going to be a little bit slower anyway, no matter how I drive, but definitely trying to find my feet now in this car with heavier fuel. On lap number 2, feeling a bit more comfortable, closing up to Kvyat now, and this massive train that's actually forming there. I think you can see where Hamilton is on the minimap there. I think he's kind of heading the train almost, so we've had a few cars already overtake Hamilton, and now he's basically being a bit of a roadblock, and we're kind of bunching up this entire field in between both our cars. So I think eventually, like I said, we probably will meet Hamilton at some point on track, but right now I'm focused on trying to get Kvyat, but at this stage of the GP, that DRS failure is not helping me here. So on lap number 3, Stroll's actually catching up to me and keeping up with me on that back straight with the DRS that was open for him, and obviously you saw there ahead of us Kvyat had it as well. I'm going to try a little dive down the inside, try and catch the Russian napping, although he gets the elbows out, pushes me off, rightly so to be fair, because that was a very aggressive move by me, a very opportunistic one, and it didn't work out there. Kvyat has defended his position successfully, and now I'm under massive pressure from Lance Stroll in the Racing Point car. Alto Leclerc, my former teammate in the Toro Rosso, there's Alto behind. We've made some more contact with Stroll. It's all going wrong for me right now. On lap number 4 here, I've just not got too much pace and confidence in this car as it stands. Leclerc now comes to overtake me. We make a bit of contact there. 2 former teammates, 2 former championship rivals with a bit of contact there. That's maybe a little bit personal. Leclerc is on the outside. We squeeze him out though, get the elbow out and basically pay him back for that little contact he made with us into the hairpin, and we maintain that position at least, but we've lost 1 position to the Canadian in the Racing Point car. So at the moment, I did say it was looking a little bit better as we were catching Kvyat, but then I just shouldn't have made that dive bomb running on Kvyat. I was getting a little bit too impatient really, and it just was a domino effect. I just lost about 5 seconds there basically to Kvyat and that entire train, so I have to try and re-catch them and re-overtake Stroll first before we even think about the Russian once again in this GP. So we move through now, second part or last part of the lap number 5 here through the chicane. Finally, we have DRS back and activated on this car. So now we're going to go for it and absolutely send it down the inside of Lance Stroll there. That is a horrendous dive bomb, and we've made it work up into P12. That's more like it. Finally, a bit of confidence in the car under braking there, and that's what we like to see. I need to try and make this car work for me. It's going to be a bit of a process though, because this car really does feel on a knife edge, and that is just going to be a little bit of a good example of that, as we almost slammed this car into the wall there and almost DNF out of the Grand Prix on lap number 6 as we lost the back end there. So that's exactly what I mean. This car it's a great car. It feels great to drive, but when you just get it unbalanced, it really snaps at you, unlike any other car on this field. But we're going to go for another absolutely inhumane dive bomb down the inside of Dan Kvyat there, and we've actually absolutely done him there on the outside. We get the job done, and that is going to be one of the best overtakes I've made actually in this entire career mode save. Yeah, we're so far back from Kvyat. I think we're about 3 car lengths back, so that was quite naughty, I must admit. So this Mercedes car is lighting up a little bit. We're warming up to this car for sure, and we're building that confidence, under braking especially. That's what we need really with a car like this. We need confidence under braking to make the dive bomb stick. And so we're going to go again on Sebastian Vettel now in the Williams there. He's going to get caught napping a little bit. We make a little tiny bit of contact with the tyre wall there. We're now side by side. We're on the outside. He gives us the room, to be fair, and we're going to give the room to him on the inside. We have to there, as he's still fully around us, and Vettel does a brilliant job at keeping the car there, and he outbrakes me to the next right-hander and makes that very awkward for me. We have to have a little drift and control to keep the car in a straight line, and Vettel lives to fight another day. But me and Sebastian Vettel always seem to have some great battles in the F1 games over the years, and so this one's no exception there. So we're going to have to try and go again and try a second time to overtake him in the same exact place. This is in Sector 1. That DRS open for Vettel as well as me, but this time he goes defensive to the inside. He's going to leave me the room on the outside there, so we're going to go the long way around. Little tire on the grass that was to try and make it work, but we just about make it through and find the space, and we're up the position now and staring at the back of Antonio Giovinazzi, who has just been overtaken by Hamilton there. So I was about to say Hamilton's dropping back and back and back, but he actually fought back there and overtook the Italian, so fair play to him there. So he's put a car between myself and him, but like I said, it was inevitable that me and Hamilton were probably going to meet each other in the middle somewhere of the top 10 pack here, because he was always going to go backwards from pole position, and I was always going to go forward, I feel like, because I think I could have gone faster in Q2. So now we're on the back of the Italian, Giovinazzi in the Haas car, the man who nearly held me up in Q2 a little bit here. Let's try and see if we can make a move in this last sector. Good exit off that chicane. DRS open for him and me though, so can I have the speed under braking? We're going to go for it there. He's going to give us the room, and we're going to have to try and finish this off for the second part, but it doesn't work out. Giovinazzi has the better racing line and is able to hold the momentum through. I'm not going to make the same mistake as last time with Kvyat, and I'm going to not even try the dive bomb on the outside there. We try a little look on the outside of the last corner, but Giovinazzi gets the elbows out there, and so instead we have to wait onto the main straight. Lap number 9 now, again gaining. He goes a little bit defensive here. We're going to fake to right, go to the left hand side and go on the outside of turn 1, thread the needle there, just about get it through, and that's a very lovely move for P9. And now it is just me v Lewis Hamilton. He is up next. Can we try and overtake him? We have to do a little bit of defensive work on Giovinazzi to actually finish off the position there, but now it really is just me and Hamilton. Let's go chasing after him. And so here we are now, lap number 10, closing up to Hamilton within 1 second now, and at this point in the Grand Prix, his tyre wear should be kicking in quite nicely for us, and so I should be theoretically faster than him now on these mediums, because he's only a lap or two away from the pit stop. So we have a little look on the inside of the back straight. Thought better of it though, because if that wasn't Hamilton, if there was someone else, I probably would have tried the dive bomb, but of course he is my teammate, so trying to show some racing respect there, and instead we have to stick behind him through this entire last sector, but we should be able to nail him on the main straight. I was maybe even thinking he might have come in on that lap there, lap 10, but alas, he continues on for one more, get a bit of dirty air on the entry there into the last corner. But here we go now with DRS on the right. He squeezes us quite a fair bit towards the right hand side, but we're going to swoop across into that position, into turn number 1, and get that place booked in. And now we've got a massive amount of clean air to work with, and so this is where we just get our head down and try and drive as quickly as we can for the rest of this stint, because Hamilton comes in now on that next lap. Weber has made a pit stop from the lead of the Grand Prix. He comes out ahead of us there, so that's how much deficit we have to the Renault team at this stage of Season 4. But we did what I said, basically kept our head down, trying to go as quick as I could. The last 2 laps there, lap 16 and this 17th lap, were a little bit slow as the tyre wear kicked in, I can't lie. But I think we've done enough to maybe just maintain the position on Hamilton and be close to some cars on the exit here. But this is where the fun begins now for us. We're on the soft compound tyre, the fastest compound available, lower fuel. We've got an okay amount of fuel to play with, I think, once we save some with standard mixture here on the outlap here. And so it's time to try and see what more position we can get in this Grand Prix. But we're going to come out just ahead of Hamilton. It's actually a lot closer than I thought it would be there, as Hamilton swings through some more momentum, of course, as he goes through at full pelt from the main straight. He's right up my gearbox here. He's going to try and make a move, actually. We go defensive to the inside. My tyres are cold, remember, as well. But we just about managed to keep that through. We have to go a little bit wide on purpose there and try and just push him out wide on the racing line. But we maintain the position, P7. And now it's time to try and chase after Hulkenberg and see what we can do for the remainder of this Grand Prix. 10 laps to go, and we're absolutely flying, thrashing this car around the Melbourne circuit here, and we're closing up to the German in the Racing Point car now. We've set the purple first sector, green second sector, so we're going to get a little bit held up here by Hulkenberg, but this might just be the fast lap of the Grand Prix as we overtake the German into the second last corner there, almost having a look on the outside, which is a very unorthodox place to make a move there, but that's just the difference in tyre wear levels we have and the grip levels we have. And so here we go now, main straight. We're a little bit far back, actually, so I don't know. We might just have enough speed here as we pull through. Hulkenberg's defensive there with the outside. We're going to switch this back to the inside there, and it's an oh-so-sweet choreographed move on the right-hand side of the circuit there. Set the fast lap of the Grand Prix whilst we do it, and we squeeze out Hulkenberg and maintain that and get P6 in this Grand Prix. But we're not done yet, because up ahead of us is Devin Butler. He's on the medium tyres, and this car is flying so fast that I think we should be able to catch him, actually. And indeed we do. Lap 21, Butler right in front of our eyes there. He's going quite slow, actually, so I think he's hit a lot of tyre wear here. And although you can see on the top right there 2 red sectors in that top right there, don't let that fool you. This has been a pretty damn quick lap here, because the last sector, remember, I got held up previously by Hulkenberg, and my 2 first sectors on the previous lap were so quick that if I just even go a little bit slower, it's still going to be pretty damn quick. And so there you go, the proof's in the pudding, and we've got another fast lap of the Grand Prix as we beat our previous fast lap, and now we're right up the gearbox of our former F2 nemesis here, Devin Butler, the man I swapped positions with last season in the Red Bull family, now overtaking him in a Mercedes car down the inside, squeeze him out in the same place. We've got Hulkenberg, and we're up into P5 of the Australian Grand Prix. And I believe that is unfortunately, though, where we're probably going to see the end of our action here today as we move on to lap 29, and to be Lucas Weber, my former F2 teammate, who's won at the Australian Grand Prix. Renault win the opening race of Season 4. Their Gasly P4 is right behind Lando Norris. I kind of hoped they almost were going to fight a bit too much to the point where I could maybe catch them up, but alas, it was not to be. And so we're going to finish up in P5, but that is very decent, I would say, from P11, and also considering where Hamilton is down in P8. So we may have been beaten in qualifying, but we came back today in the race where it mattered to get some decent points to kick off this new era.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Renault. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Once again, it's podium time, and once again, it's a clear win for Renault. Renault have seen their fair share of success in Formula 1, and today is proof that they've still got what it takes to thrill us all. Congratulations to everyone on the team.
So P5 in the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so we get 11 points in total there. So, like I said, very solid day in the office, I would say. From, you know, all things considered, where the car is on paper with the R&D, where we finished in qualifying compared to Hamilton, and then how that race went for us, and how the confidence was built during that Grand Prix. I think good signs. I think if we can improve the chassis of the car, that will help me out massively at the start of these races, where the car maybe is a little bit too kind of chaotic on heavier fuel, perhaps, and the balance is a bit out of whack. And then, obviously, once we get the aero and the engine upgrades on. That'll obviously help us as well, trying just to, you know, close the gap to the top runners there. Clearly, even though P5 is a pretty decent position, there's a lot of actual time there in that race. We lost to the race winner, Lucas Weber, so we're a long way off fighting for race wins yet, but I think that's pretty damn solid, and it probably looked a little bit bleaker than it actually ended up being in terms of if you went from the start of this episode where the R&D chart was. I think you probably would have thought that Mercedes and myself and Hamilton would have been fighting for, like, you know, the wooden spoon, but obviously the field spread, like I've said, I'm going to say this so many times, so I'm sorry if it gets annoying, but the field spread is so close. I just love to emphasize that. It's so close. That's why these races right now in last season of Career Mode Season 3 and this season, Season 4, why they're going to be so close, and like you just can't predict where anyone's going to finish because it is just so tight in the midfield to the, you know, basically podium positions, if you will. So at the end of this episode then, we have enough R&D points to actually purchase one more chassis upgrade. So that means that next episode, we should have 5 upgrades coming to this car on the chassis side of things, because there technically shouldn't be a failure on this R&D, because Mercedes have got all the actual quality controls and everything like that. So that should be 5 chassis upgrades confirmed and booked in for next episode, which will be pretty damn sweet and a great sight to see at the start of next episode. But guys, if you did enjoy this opening episode of Season 4, then be sure to smash that like button. If you're looking forward to the fight between myself and Hamilton and trying to drag this car back up to where it used to be, then also hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're on here and did subscribe for weekly Fortnite content, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy this day. Goodbye.